What's up guys, my name is Ace, and the weapon balancing patch that a lot of people have been hoping for quite some time now is finally here in Call of Duty Vanguard. And the biggest thing to mention with this is the Whitley LMG with 50 BMG rounds. That has been nerfed quite considerably, and we're going to be looking at all of the details of this today. Now, keep in mind, with the patch notes they released today, many of the items on these patch notes, these changes actually went through a while ago, and I've already covered them on the channel. They were considered hidden changes at the time. So with a lot of the patch notes, they're just sort of playing catch up with changes they've already made, but they never mentioned in the past. So for those ones that I've already covered, we're not going to be covering them again today. And without further ado, let's just dive into these changes. The first change I wanted to point out is they were finally able to get the buff through for the Kar98 when it comes to aim down sight time. Previously, this buff only worked if you were using a different optic attachment. It didn't work with the default scope. Previously, we were getting an aim down sight time of 598 milliseconds, and now we see 551 milliseconds for our aim down sight time with the base optic equipped. So it is nice to see that that buff has finally gone through for the Kar98. After that, the Type 11 LMG got a buff to its recoil, and as we can see here, post-patch, it kicks pretty much straight up with a very slight lean to the left, and it's just a much more consistent straight line recoil pattern than pre-patch, so that's going to make it a lot more consistent and easier to control, which is nice to see some love for the Type 11 since that's rarely used in this game. Additionally, the machine pistol got a buff to its recoil, which unfortunately I didn't have any pre-patch footage to compare this to, but you guys can see what it looks like here post-patch. It's still got quite a bit of recoil, it does jump around a lot, but this is slightly more controllable at least than it was pre-patch. After that, we saw some changes to the Bren and some of its attachments. And the first thing is the base sprint out time on the Bren was nerfed from 300 milliseconds up to 325 milliseconds. Then when it comes to our hipfire spread, this was slightly increased, so this was a very slight nerf as well. And you can see before and after there, this isn't a massive difference, but there is a slight change to the hipfire spread. After that, with the first barrel, this is the oak and shield barrel, which is the most popular option I feel with the Bren. This one now harms your aim down sight time, whereas previously it didn't. Pre-patch, we'd have our base aim down sight time at 440 milliseconds, and now it's 478 milliseconds when using this barrel. And we saw a similar nerf to the 50 BMG 50 round magazines on the Bren as well. Previously, our aim down sight time with this was 478 milliseconds, and now it's going to be a bit slower at 489 milliseconds. So especially if you're stacking this attachment with that first barrel, you're going to notice a very big difference to your aim down sight time. Next up, the G43 got some love, and the first thing is they decreased the aim down sight time, but I covered that in a previous video. Another thing that I didn't pick up on that likely took effect at the same time is there was a slight buff to its hipfire spread. Now, here's what it looks like for the marksman rifles post-patch. Previously, the G43 had the same hipfire spread as the M1 Garand, and now it's just very slightly better. And with that, we can finally get into the good stuff, the thing that so many of us have been waiting for quite some time, the Whitley with the 50 BMG ammo. Pre-patch, this was a 2 to 3 shot kill, although with the range that it had, it was a 2-shot kill at any practical range in the game, with a rate of fire of 428 rounds per minute, which gave us a 2-shot time to kill potential of 140 milliseconds, which is ridiculously fast. This thing basically took over multiplayer, and there wasn't much in the game that could reliably touch this. Post-patch, they've pretty significantly nerfed the damage on this, so it's now going to be a 3-shot kill to the body, even at point-blank range. And in order to compensate for that a little bit to make this not completely useless, they also bumped up our rate of fire while using this ammo type. So our new time to kill potential is going to be 234 milliseconds, because it's now taking us 3 shots to kill. This is still a competitive time to kill, but it's no longer that untouchable time to kill that it used to be. There are tons of other guns in the game that can easily keep up with this time to kill potential. And another thing to consider is even though the recoil values haven't changed with this, since we're seeing an increase to the rate of fire, there's less time in between shots for the gun to recenter, and therefore we actually see an increase to the total magnitude of the recoil with this attachment as well. Now, this is still a fairly predictable and controllable recoil pattern, but I did want to point out the fact that you will be seeing more recoil when firing this gun full auto. And as a result, I would say the 50 BMG ammo with the Whitley is no longer even close to being an overpowered setup. But I think they did a good job with this nerf to where it's still usable. You can absolutely still find some success with this. They didn't nerf this completely into the ground, but I'd say it would be a pretty big stretch to still call this an overpowered gun in this game. And with that, that pretty much covers it for the important changes that came with today's update. For most of the changes outside of the Whitley, I would say they were nice little improvements here, but you're not going to notice anything too severe. However, I am very happy that they have properly taken care of the Whitley with the 50 BMG ammo, and it's now in a significantly better place than it used to be. Now, of course, that is just my opinion. I'd like to hear from you guys in the comment section below. What did you think of this weapon balancing update that we got today? Are you generally happy with these changes, or are there any changes you're unhappy with? Just let me know down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.